right, welcome everybody. I'm Carla Slocum. We're on day 3 of the Black Communities Conference. And as you probably know already, this is the day where we get to talk to filmmakers and authors about their work, hear about the films that they've made and the books that they've written. And for this session today, we're talking with Jonathan Martin, who goes by Malik. And he is the filmmaker of the film Black Ice, which is a film on Black rock climbers, start out in Memphis and end up in Montana ice climbing. So we just want to get into the film today. And so Malik, I just want to start. Thank you for joining us. Really glad to have you. As you know, I told you ahead of time that this was my pick, just some of my personal interests that we can talk about a little bit later. But, just get us started. Tell us how this film all came about.
So this film came about by just an idea that me and my comrade Chris Dean had. We were at Color the Crag, and he had Conrad's personal phone number. We never used it. And he was like, remember when Conrad said he was gonna take us climbing? And I said, call him right now. He's like, he ain't gonna pick up. And we called Conrad, and he was like, hello? And we was like, oh my God. So what's up, bro? When we going climbing? He was like, we're gonna think about it. We're gonna put it together. And it was in the fall around October. And around January, Conrad was like, yo, I went to the brand and I got them to put some money behind it. We need y'all to get a crew together and we're gonna take out ice climbing. And so as me and Chris were picking the people to go, we're trying to pick the people that, one, most importantly for expedition, any person want to go on an expedition, who around you and you're gonna be in close quarters with is very important. So, can we not hate these people at the end of the trip? Who can be up for a challenge, because something about being in nature is constantly being challenged. And then also, people who have a unique story. I mean, everyone has a unique story, me personally believing, but just, in this aspect of it, like the last member we ended up picking was Salacio. And this before we even knew this was a movie going to be had. We're just picking people that we know that will have a good experience, be fun to be around. And I, actually need these type of wins and experiences, because coming from where I come from, I know people who've lived within the same 3-block radius their whole lives. There's a bridge that connects Memphis from Arkansas. I know people who've never crossed the bridge, and to be able to take someone in that bubble and not just cross a bridge, but being first time on an airplane and first time ice climbing for a whole lot of people was just monumental. And right before the trip came together, Real Rock was like, we should probably, this sounds like a unique story and we should tell this. So they came in and, they're a production company and they had their own cameraman, but they hired me as a second cameraman. Little did we know that my footage would be, some of the most primary footage used in some of the bigger scenes, but it just comes from having the rapport with your community that anytime because I come from a photojournalism background. I work for the oldest Black newspaper in the tri-state called the New Tri-State Defender and currently freelance for MLK50.com. And through that photojournalistic lens and communal trust, I'm able to get in positions in places with people and they'll be more vulnerable with me, because I don't know, just kind of understood that anytime I point my camera at you, it's not to ostracize, it's not to, sensationalize what's happening. If anything, I just want the raw, honest truth of what happened here to be told, and people feel comfortable enough in my presence to let down their guard. Because typically when you put a camera in front of anyone, the first thing tense up. And how I do portraiture is I just talk to people. And as I talk to them, I'll take a picture here, there, but when I make you laugh, that natural smile is better than any little you could give me. And I kind of just apply the same work to filmmaking, where it's just let people unfold in front of my lens and interject when possible, when needed or whatever.
The film does feel very, very candid, and you really kind of get a glimpse. You feel like you get a glimpse into people's lives. Let's go back to Memphis. For the folks who haven't seen the film yet, and I highly recommend that everybody go see this film. Tell us about South Memphis and the beginning of Memphis Rock, the rock climbing gym. We were just talking about that before it got started. It's a unique story that this gym even exists in a Black neighborhood.
Yeah.
And is for the Black neighborhood.
Yeah. So I'm from South Memphis, Tennessee, which is one of the poorest zip codes in America, 38106, where the gym resides in Soulsville. And our founder, Tom Shadyac, who's a Hollywood film director known for like Bruce Almighty, Nutty Professor, Ace Ventura, brought the gym to South Memphis because he wanted to give, you know, a neighborhood and kids a place to safe recreate. And he also wanted to bring rock climbing, which is a sport that brought him tremendous joy and freedom into a neighborhood where, you know, this is an atypical sport. You know, the thing that's a beauty about like Black people is that we have kids come off the street and like climbing V4, V5s in the gym. For the climbers in the chat, they'll know what I'm talking about. Just off the street, they never climbed before. And like, if they can't read a route, they'll just dyno jump to the next. They're so athletic. And the thing is like with
That's the
Black people,
level of climbing. That's an, you know, somewhat advanced level of climbing.
yeah, it's about
Build
medium.
up, you usually start out at a V0, right?
Yeah, V0, and there ain't nothing wrong with that. That's where I like to reside. I gotta try hard. I'll be like, yeah, I don't want to try. It's only with my life on the line, you see me like, but you know, given the opportunity and space, and our founder and Chris Dean, like, were real intentional about hearing the neighborhood needs. They door knocked even before remodeling had begun, because it's like, yeah, we want to bring a rock climbing gym, but what would y'all need in a rock climbing gym? You know, some people like, I like a fresh, you know, food source. I would like, you know, place for this. I like an after school place. I like that. And we try to incorporate, like Memphis Rocks, the front is a rock climbing gym. You know, that's to get you there. But when you get to there, like, we operate as like a free lunch hub. We operate as a juice bar. We operate as an after school program. We operate as a clothing closet. We literally have a clothing closet on campus where like, it's open twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays, and nothing costs more than $5. And you can get tissue, you know, a coat, pants, you know, shirts, shoes, and people donate. So sometimes it'd be like Jordans and Nikes in there. You just get them junks for $5. And it takes, you know, hearing what the neighborhood needs is and being able to supply it. Like when COVID hit, all the rock climbing shut down. It was like, oh my God, what we gonna do? And we was like, serve the community. What do they need? Because we knew we was in a Black community and it was gonna get hit twice as hard. So we turned into a hub, started manufacturing hand sanitizer, and you know what I mean, putting together food, fresh food boxes, and delivered them to the elderly in the neighborhood. And so many people rush right now and ask me like, oh my God, how can we diversify? And it's like, you know, I worry at that question because it's like, I don't want them to be like 1, 2, 3 niggas and that's enough. We got enough Black people, or we diverse. But truly learning how to incorporate Black people and, you know, diversify from the roots up to wanting these ethnic and minority groups to be there. Like, you actually have to want and plan for that. We intentionally hired 80% of our staff is from the neighborhood. They walk to work. You know what I mean? Less than a mile. All that is intentional, and all that is important with like truly being the like groundbreaking gym, or like, you know, the mold, or how did y'all do it, is like we truly, and that doesn't mean like there isn't instances of like rough patches or having, you know, people that we have to let go because they don't fit the product, but it's still giving those people those chances. Because like when it comes to Salatio, not too many people and jobs and places, you know, want to like give people like him a chance. You know what I mean? We're quick to judge. No, I mean, like, you know, I appreciate, you know, through the movie, something that is documented as Salatio's humanity. You know what I mean? Like, I'm in the hood where like nobody has sympathy for nobody, but that's because like, say Salatio got shot. Well, my brother got killed. So, you know what I mean? Like, or my dad got killed outside the house, we still staying. You know what I mean? Like, it's always something worse kind of, or like we all have our own battles going on. So in the hood, not too many people are gonna grieve for you, you know? But for like, he's a human. He feels, he breathes, he hurts, he bleeds just like the rest of us. And I hate that like it would take for him to like tell his story on a lens, you know what I mean, for people to have sympathy. But you know, I'm so happy that his humanity is documented, because that's something that I want to use as a catalyst for like brothers in the struggle across America. Because like, you know, it sounds cool in the music and stuff, we in the trenches, yada yada, but then you see the trenches. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's when people be talking about we come through shooting, blah, blah, blah. That's the other end of it, which isn't depicted in the media or, you know, the aftermath. And the thing even after the aftermath, they do show it, it's just like, oh, horrendous shot. Oh, like, no, talk about the people and how they feel and how they're rebuilding, you know. Since the movie, you know, like Salacio is still doing his own thing, got his own place and like moving up. And you know, this is the start of just like a big build for him to show this, like, you know, there's something else out there. And it's so easy to write people off because you don't have to deal with it, you know. But I just hope that this movie, well, it has so far, the reception I've been getting, but like just continue to knock down those barriers and hope to cause some understanding. You know, if it has to jar you so bad that you cry for you to understand that these are people, then I'm glad that it had that connectivity.
Um, you know, I'm glad you brought up Salacio. For those who haven't seen the film yet, Salacio is somebody who's in the film, goes from some Memphis rocks to Montana for the ice climbing. We're going to talk a little bit more about that experience soon. And you know, he's had a difficult life living in the hood, and he gets very emotional while he's there over the experience that he's having there. And I wondered, from your perspective, did it take him going to Montana and having that experience for him to let that emotion out? Or do you think it was, you know, do you think that was not a connection?
I mean, I feel like what we saw in the movie, like when he was pitching his tent and I was over there with him, you seen like a childhood wonder in him, you know. And from where I'm from, you pretty much never can have a chink in your armor. You always have to make it be, you know, like, I'm hard, you know, don't try me. I ain't never gonna do anything to make you feel like you can try me, because once somebody try you in the hood, it's, you know, that's what's gonna happen to you every time you out on the block, you know. So for him to be able to be in the snow, in the mountain, away from everything and everyone he know except us, you know, it enabled him to have that type of breakdown, you know, or to be able to exude that emotionally safely, you know. Because if he was on the block with the homies, he ain't finna be like crying like that, you know. Maybe over your friend house on the inside, but like, be chilling outside on the block, or, you know, y'all posted on your, you know, yeah, and most people like, I ain't worried about that. You know what I mean? Like, so many, even as myself, like, I'm adopted, you know what I'm saying? My parents were drug addicts. And like, I lied to myself till I was like 23 about, like, you know, that didn't bother me. It didn't impact my life, or, you know, like how I go about things. And cause you just hold it. Cause I mean, truthfully, nobody cares. I mean, like on an individual level, like we'll see this and be like, oh my God, that's bad, I care. But like, truthfully, nobody cares. Like, it's all about, what did you do with it? You know, for like basic storytelling, here's a hack. When it comes to basic storytelling, like Aladdin, for example, if at the end of the movie he was still stealing bread with his monkey, y'all wouldn't have liked that movie. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to have character progression, and people only want to hear how bad it was when you've won. When you just talk about how bad it was, you still sitting in it, nobody cares. And it's like, I'm just now getting to a point where like, um, I'm even comfortable, you know, because it's a chink in your arm. I don't want to seem like, you know, uh, I am impacted by anything that could keep me from being as great as I am, you know, because it's just like, you know, it doesn't matter. But I mean, when I be talking to people, I'm, you know, truth about it. That like, I'm a very strange, flawed human. Uh, just got over imposter syndrome a couple years ago, and you know, uh, still second guess myself because like the stuff I dream of is so big. And when I say dream, it's not like, oh, I want to be this or that. I'm talking about like, if I see something and I want to create it, I'm just now at a point in my career where like I see it and I can pick up a camera and translate that through the camera. And that took like 12 years for me to be able to do. Um,
So you all get on the plane, leave from Memphis and head to Montana.
yes.
And maybe actually, I prepared for us to see a clip of the film. Wait till you come back.
Say that last part again.
Um, Maybe we can shift a little bit to talk about the experience in Montana.
Oh yeah.
And I thought maybe we could show a little bit of clip of the film for those people who haven't seen it, just like a 2-minute clip to be able to see what that looked like, and then we can talk about with you what that was like. So Benita, can you show us the clip?
We made it through the night. It got pretty cold. Our thermometer only goes to 0, so. But we still here.
Day 1, ice climbing. And we led by our dreadhead comrades. Still trying to get acclimated to the altitude. To get to the ice, we had to hike higher and higher. And we get there, but we didn't know what we was looking at.
So this is what we climbing?
This is it. Pretty cool looking, huh? So we'll boot up here. It's cold out today.
It's freezing, bone-crushing cold. Dr. Fred and Manoa, they were just like, yeah, man, this is it. This is what we're here for.
Which one are you on?
These guys, they different. They different.
Ice climbing was inaccessible for a million reasons. I was really excited to help share if I could, to like be a part of their experience. Like, I love it and I want other people to try it.
Yeah, Fred!
This is what it's about, man. Getting people psyched on being outside and like connecting with each other through the vehicle of climbing.
It's empowering to see Manoa climbing with such a grace, such a confidence. He did it with a smile on his face.
Yeah! Manoa!
He's a real deal. But if I see him do it, it's our thing now. And like, we ice climb now. But when he come down and give you the ice peaks, I'm like, your turn. You're like, hold on, whoa.
I'm nervous as hell right now. Follow through with your swing, Ty. There you go. Good stick. Bet you wish those pants wasn't so tight.
To never have climbed ice before, even if you're a climber and you climb in the gym, the technique is really different, right? You're swinging these blades, ice is brittle, ice can break.
One thing we talk about at Memphis Rocks a lot is it's a mental game, just being like, all right, I'm accepting this new experience.
Let's go, Aaron, you crushing.
It can crush you, or you can be like, I can do this.
You about to climb? How you feel, Chris?
Cold?
Let's go, Chris Dean. Swing it like you mean it, babe.
Can I walk around?
Is that Chris?
Yeah.
Okay, Chris.
That day, the weather was beating us, man, just over and over. That wind chill.
Do this.
And Conrad is just acting like this is a nice day.
The sun's gonna come out on us and this spot gets in the sun, so we're here until dinner time. We might as well get another rope up.
The sun never came out. I was like, why we come out here again?
Fucking cold. My toes, I can't feel them.
Let's go, Leisha.
Today's a good day, but it's a pretty hard day. Yeah.
Let's get it. Nerves.
I'm an artist. I am no pro climber.
All right, Malik.
And ice climbing is a whole nother thing.
Malik, he was all over the place.
I'm miserable. Help me. I just want some chicken wings. It is fun. I'm having fun. It's just you have to learn how to be miserable and still like keep going. I'm down. I fought a good fight. And it takes you being uncomfortable to go through the transition. I'm pumped. I don't know what the fuck was up with that ice.
Okay. So tell us about that experience going out there. I mean, first of all, you had, there's Manoa and Dr. Fred, who are two Black experienced climbers. I've read about Manoa, he's quite famous. I hadn't heard of Dr. Fred until the film. And they were seemingly your guides for this whole experience, but for the rest of you, it was new. And you know, for all of us, Montana conjures up one of the whitest states in the country. And then you've got this ice climbing that also we would think of as a white sport. So tell us a little bit about what was going on there.
Yeah, Montana is one of those states that before I started getting into mountaineering, I was like, I ain't going there, you know, like, you know, I don't have no reason to ever go out there. But to be out there in the mountains is a very freeing experience. To see everybody from Memphis, where if it's a dollop of snow on the ground, we shut down everything, buy milk and bread. It's very, you know, to adapt. And, you know, going against, you know, as you go outside, the more you go, the more you learn. So it's like, and there's a point in the movie where you see me where I was like, this is miserable, breathing hard. It's because like the first day, me and the sound man, he told me to put on all my future light jacket. And I was like, I don't need it. I sweat hard, I just need my base layer on. He's like, oh, you gonna freeze, it's snowing hard. And I listened to him and like I hiked up with all this stuff on and I'm drenched in sweat. If you see in the shots, like I'm like pouring. And I was mic'd up and I didn't know like he could hear me like a mile away. And I was like going on a tirade about how stupid the sound man is for telling me to do this. And I come around the corner and he's like staring at me with the mic. And I'm like, you can hear me? He's like, everything. I was like, well, at least you know how I feel. But to see, you know, like Salacio first be like, I don't like this, you know, or kind of be scared at it because it's not just snow, it's so much snow, it's waist deep snow. To see people like Ariel, who's already short, they were walking by what you would think is a bush, you know, from city. It looks like a bush, top of a little, you know, about this high. You step by it, you poof, you through the snow and it's up to your neck because it was a tree and you didn't know because the snow was covering it up. It's just about, you know, constantly adapting. And like once we got to the ice, learning how to sit in, so, you know, freezing temperatures, like, and take turns climbing, you know. Just imagine like playing basketball in freezing temperatures and then after your game, you have to sit on the sidelines for 10, 15 minutes before you get out there again. That's kind of what it's similar to. So you have to learn about, you know, your body limits. Well, you're gonna learn about your body limits and like what you really can take, because it can be pretty harsh, not dangerous, but just harsh, you know, like severely uncomfortable at times. But Montana is beautiful. And that's one thing that, you know, being from the city is just like a reset for me. Anytime that I'm able to be in nature, I'm always the last person to sleep because I'm up doing time lapses of the stars and the Milky Way. And I'm the first person up because I'm either doing like sunrise or chopping wood so we can get breakfast going, which I did in the film, and which was like a bonding point for me and Conrad, because like we're both old men, wake up at 5 o'clock and get the day started. And I don't know, it's just very transformative for a lot of people in many different ways. Throughout the week, many people had their moments from here or there, not scheduled. Like Alicia and Chris Dean, you know, both were like crying the night we laid out and looked at the stars. You know, that's the stuff that you just don't plan when you come make a documentary. It just happens and you just happen to be there. And I'm ready to document it.
Look, I got a question for you if I can jump in here.
Yeah.
The folks that were in the film, how's that experience changed them since they've been back to Memphis?
I mean, like Salacio has like a lot more pep in the step. You can tell like he walks with a lot more confidence. The things that he's gotten to do and experience since then has just keep on like, you know, expounding off of this trip. He actually went to Uray, Colorado this year for an ice climbing trip with Memphis Rock. So he's been ice climbing again since the movie, which is something weird. You know what I mean? Because it's just like, you know, you would never going ice climbing once is a thing, but to be like, oh, this is my second season and I've went X amount of times and it's starting to build, you know, muscle memory and repertoire is beautiful. Alicia went off to college, you know, got her own place, you know, her and her girlfriend are living well and, you know, excelling. Ariel is going through a process of, you know, like finding herself and, you know, really focusing on their art and what they want to put out in the world. And it's just, you know, I don't know, it just kind of Ty, the route setter, he's, you know, went to Hawaii to rock climb here recently. You know, me and Christine's everlasting still, you know, creatives and just trying to create more stuff together. But it was just like a kind of a snowball, you know, like for everybody in some shape, form, and you know, it's not life changing overnight. Cause, you know, some people call, you know, I get a lot of messages, how was Salacio? And, you know, it's because they want me to tell them, oh, he's like, you know, living in a nice house now and he has a car and, you know, everything's fine now. And it's like, no, bro, this like, we're still pretty scuffed up out here. You know what I'm saying? Like it's really like because if we want to talk about the reality of the situation, like we still in the hood. You know what I mean? Like, and it ain't too far away. You know what I'm saying? I ain't gonna say too much, but like one of my comrades from the movie was like, not Salacio, you know what I'm saying? It was during New Year's and like people got to shooting outside the apartment and a stray bullet came through the apartment and like almost hit them. You know what I'm saying? It's like this movie didn't, and it ain't took us out of that. You know what I mean? We ain't made enough, or we ain't good enough. You know what I mean? Like, so it's a lot of, we still got some work to do. Because it ain't a one-stop fix. And where we at and what we do, like I grew up 3 minutes walking from the gym in my grandma's house, and to be able to still be there and give back is very important to us. So we're not gonna leave because of that stuff. But I just want people to know how real it is still out there for us. We still trying to have people to get as many wins as possible when possible. But when it comes down to it, we're not far from that life or those circumstances.
Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about the difference between ice climbing and rock climbing? And maybe in particular, since you all were trained in the gym, the difference between doing that in the gym versus doing ice climbing.
So ice climbing is like taking everything that you learned in the gym and throwing it out, because technically wise, it's completely different. The tools you have to use, and even I consider my clothing as a kit and a tool, because you don't just put like one jacket on. You have up to 6 layers to put on with the North Face Summit. So it's like you start off with, I start in my base layers. I'll march up on my lowest and pack up as like, because if you get in a canyon somewhere there's no sun, it's even more frigid. But like the temperature, in rock climbing, I don't know, I've done some multi-pitch stuff in the summertime. I've climbed a few mountains in the Gallatin Valley, or I've climbed the Gallatin Tower, Skyline Arid, in the Grand Teton in the summertime. And it's just, it's hot, but it's like kind of cool. It's hot during the day and get cool at night. That's the biggest distinction. The technique is the biggest thing with your tool, because you got to swing it a certain way to get a good hit. Kicking your foot is like a certain technique to get your crampon to stick in there, so you don't do what I do and slide down, or your crampon pop off and everything. So it's a completely different from what you would translate from the gym. The only thing I would say the gym would help you like stamina wise if you do a lot of laps on top rope. And you can lead on ice, but they say like you should climb like 50 pitches before you lead on ice. And a pitch is like, to the top, that's one. So leading, and is this a climbing group? Is this just like, I'm not talking to climbers.
No.
Okay. Okay. But just real quick, leading is more advanced climbing, because it's called top rope in a gym. The rope comes from the top. So if you take a fall, you basically just dangle there. You don't go nowhere. You're just, on lead, the rope comes from the bottom and you have to clip it in as you go. And if you fall, say I clipped here and I made it up here before the next clip and I fall, you fall to the last time you clip. So if you do that on ice, it's very scary, because you want to be so good on ice that you never fall, because you don't want to take a fall on ice with a screw embedded in the ice. It should work, but it might not.
One other thing I wanted to talk to you about is just the Black climbing community, such that it is. We were talking before about how I was just admitting that I have a son who rock climbs, and no other Black people in his climbing team, on his climbing team. And I found online that there were a bunch of groups on social media, that there are a bunch of groups that are either for Black folks or for folks of color who are interested in climbing. And there's actually quite a bit more than I expected. So, and sounds like you're tapped into that group as well. We were talking about a few different gyms and individuals, but talk for the group, again, thinking about the fact that everybody in here isn't a climber, but still we can all appreciate whether there is a climbing community or what that looks like. And maybe you even know how this community kind of unfolded. Is it relatively new? What's the background to this?
Yeah, I can't tell you if they're relatively new, because I've only been climbing for 3 years now. And I know Color the Crag came into fruition about 4 years ago. But there's quite a few groups, climbers of color. I know climbers of color that have like one in Seattle and somewhere on the East Coast. There's Brown Girls Climb. And there's a couple more. I had to be on Instagram. But if you find one, typically you'll be able to find the other. Like there's a woman named Laura Edmondson on Instagram who's very well connected. There is a photographer of color named Irene Yee, Lady Lockoff on Instagram. And I know I'm just throwing names, but it's just like once you be able to tap into someone in the community through social networks, you should be able to like find the rest. But the thing that's beautiful about Black people, just like anything else in history, because of the castigation and oppression that our people face, we've always had our own networks and tunnels and, you know, Stop Here, the Green Book. And it's kind of the same when it comes to climbing, because I mean, if we're going to be real, climbing is going out in rural areas and, you know, other parts of the country that, you know, typically, you know, it'd be like Confederate flag over here, rock crag right here. And you know, it feels like my first time going outside was Color the Crag, which was a festival that had over 300, you know, plus people there from all over the country, people of color, coming to one specific place in Alabama to come rock climb. And, you know, to be introduced to the outdoor rock climbing with my peers and people was more comforting, where you don't really have to feel any type of way about, like, you know, walking around or, you know, feeling like you, because the way I, you know, with my hair is like, you know, you always look suspicious. So it's just always, you know, being amongst your peers and having those introductions and indoctrinations to the sport. And no matter what we do is very important, like to have our, you know, like our mentors and people who guide us, because there is a method, you know, the way to be able to do this. You know, first you got to get the, you know, rock climbing is dangerous part into it. And learning how to, you know, if you're gonna run ropes, how to tie your knots correctly and how to properly weight your gear and etc. And then you got to know where you're going and how you're getting there, you know, and just being, you know, well prepared and well versed to be safe as possible. And that's what kind of what the you know, full color community when it comes to, because they like to do the BIPOC. I don't like that word, but I don't, you know, don't be lumping us all. That ain't the same. But I understand what they're, you know, trying to do with the solidarity front when it comes to an industry which is, you know, historically white. You know, you need every oppressed people can't oppress people. So you need like as many oppressed people in one group to fight the one thing that is actually oppressing everyone, instead of having fragmented side wars over nothing.
Yeah. Mark?
Yeah, just a question back to the film. I, you know, like everybody who's here, everyone loved the film. One thing that I thought was pretty interesting, particularly given the length, is you had this segment in there. It started when Dr. Fred was talking, and it was quite different, right? It's quite different from the rest of the film. And in those sequences, and I think a couple of other times verbally, you take the effort to kind of say like, yeah, this is the hood, but there's a reason why it's like this. And so you didn't have to do that. I mean, it would have been a complete film just focusing on the folks who went ice climbing and Salacio's personal story. But, you know, why did you do that? Is that something that you planned on doing before you made the film?
It wasn't planned before making the film, because when I first got the, you know, call that we doing this, I was just more so worried about, you know, being at the right place at the right time. But when it came to putting the film together, just as a Black man in cinema, I understand that our voices are oppressed as much as possible, and that I try to keep it real as much as possible, and not to push stereotypes, you know what I mean? Because there's a reason why stuff is like that if people care to listen. And every chance I get, I like to break it down, because I mean, there's a reason why, you know what I mean? I love my hood. You know, it's full of crime and I love it. I feel safer there than I would anywhere in suburbia white America. You know what I'm saying? And I think it's important to like say that publicly, you know, let people know that like you're proud of where you from and you understand the circumstances that got you. Like my hood looked like the 80s, bro. They like just literally have never updated it. You know what I mean? And like anywhere that you let infrastructure crumble, it's gonna crumble. You know what I mean? If you don't have no upkeep, that's anywhere. but they just, you know, we know where they put their money, you know, and it's always been a line. Memphis is one of the most segregated cities in America. It's always been a white folks neighborhood, you know what I'm saying? You cross these train tracks, you know where you at. And I think it's important to share those like breakdowns of, you know, even with Fred breaking it down, like there's more to it. Like there was, you know, censored. And it ain't even like, you know, it's Dr. Fred. That man ain't say nothing. I'm the one who cussing and drinking and doing all the craziness. But it's like, Fred's just like, yo, the people who benefit from this is white people. It's like, whoa, hey, can you say that a little different? You know what I mean? And it's like, that's where I understand as a Black creative that like, I want him to say it how he just said it. Actually, I want him to cuss a little bit when he say it actually the second time. You know what I mean? Like, so I understand the importance of having to say as much as I can with any platform I have, but also like, I understand that I'm gonna have to go independent if any Black stories are truly actually gonna be told. Then, because I mean, for like my story to be like told 100%, then I mean, like if I say like, yo, that's in there, then that's in there. And I worked on multiple projects, and this is not slating anyone I work with. You know what I mean? Like it's not talking ill of them. It's just how it is. You know what I'm saying? As a Black creator, we've all had to like on the edit cutting room floor leave stuff that we personally and like socially and culturally feel that should be and stuff. But to remedy that, instead of like, because there's this thing in the rock climbing industry where everybody's just like, you know, asking for a seat at the table. And I'm just like, I'll build one. You know what I mean? Like, I'll build one. We don't have to like ask them to be able to like, you know, have things, you know, in this digital day and age. So I just want to like go independent so like those stories can be told unfettered, you know, because I want my stuff to be as Black as I can be. I'm from the people, I'm from where like everything was supposed to kill me, you know what I'm saying? I'm like the one Black kid that wasn't supposed to make it under all the duress and circumstances, you know what I'm saying? And like, I know this country hate me, you know what I mean? I know it can't do nothing about it. And I know that I'm its worst fear because I'm highly educated. I'm from the hood, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, oh my God, it's like a super saiyan Black person. Like, oh my God, he's smart. And like, you struck, you know, because we're coming from where I'm from, only the hardest, you know, the strong survive. So it's like, but who created these circumstances that I had to go into this duress and trials under? Well, you know, that's why I always try to break it down, because even if you want to get behind the psychology of me, which like people right now, this is the Blackest conversation I've been able to have surrounding the movie. So I thank you about that. But it's just like, you know, surrounding me and why I do it or how I record, why I record like I do and stuff, all that has impacted right from where I'm from and the things that have directly happened to me. And we'll say, be specific, traumatic instances, you know what I mean, that has happened. So all that is very important to me to like continuously like break that down as much as possible and hopefully have people to understand how it got here and why it is the way it is. And it's not just by accident, it's not just by chance, it's by manufacturing. The school, I went to the school, Hamilton Middle School, and like from 6th to 7th grade, the air conditioner was broke and they would send us home at 12 o'clock from like half of the summer to the fall, and from the spring to the summer, we go home at 12. Because how can that happen? You don't care about our education. You know what I'm saying? Like, as a kid, I'm like, oh, this is awesome, bro. We get to kick it. We can go do the homework, bro. This is lit. As a grown up, if that would have happened, like maybe 1 week, I would let my kid get out of school early. After that week, what are y'all doing? You know what I'm saying? And it would be marches if it was any type of like moderate school district. So it's just those type of things and experiences that I have warped. And I understand, as a journalist, I understand the importance of who tells the story. And like, you know, the lions, you know, the hunter show got praised until the lions started telling the tale of what happened out there. You know what I mean? And like, that's just how I feel. I'm part of the lions in the concrete jungle. And I think I'm closer to the people who live here. And I think I should be the one telling how they feel. And I just want to continuously translate that through this media. I hope I answered that. I'm sorry if I'm like long-winded.
No, it's great. We've actually got a couple of questions from the audience. The first one is somebody asking about the gym's impact in the neighborhood, and since the gym has started, what kind of impact that's been. And I'd ask you to, in answering that, also mention what we were talking about before we got started, which is that when you see rock climbing gyms, if you see them in the hood, you see them catering to a still, not to people who live there.
Mm-hmm.
So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, because like rock climbing is a very niche sport, and the thing about niche sports is that it's expensive to get into. So like typically when you go to a rock climbing gym, you don't have your own shoes, right? Oh, okay, you can rent some shoes. That's $10, $15. You ain't got no harness, you can rent one for $5. You want someone to belay for you because you don't know how to belay it out, it's like $10, $15 for. Oh, day pass is 10, 15. You know what I mean? Here you is like $60, $70 just to have a day of climbing with something that you don't even know if you're gonna like yet. You know what I mean? And so most rock climbing gyms exist like, suburban areas, what have you. And there's some that's like in the hood or on the outskirts of the hood, and they're exclusive. You know what I mean? There's not like inclusive to where they're trying to get as many people in as possible. And that was the thing that made Memphis Rock's model unique, is that we had a pay what you can model. And we want no one to be turned away for your inability to pay, because we believe that you're paying can be multitude of things. You can volunteer your time, you know what I'm saying? You can help out here and get some time. You can, and even if you ain't got it, sometimes just let you slide, because it's like, like once you really start thinking about how capital is used, it's oppressive. You know what I mean? Like there's only homeless people in America because there's more empty buildings in America than homeless people. And the only reason there's homeless people because we won't let them stay there because they're not paying money. And, it's like, where is the humanity in all of this? I often beg that what allegedly makes us a civilized society is that we take care of our have-nots and elderly. And there's enough for everyone if everyone puts into it. Tom Shadek, the founder, like teaches me, like when it comes to like, you get it, acquiring wealth and everything, that you take what you need and then you got to give the rest away. And even like, that don't mean, oh, when I'm rich and famous, I can finally give back. Like you can give back right here, right now in your daily life in some shape, form, or fashion. And that changes, you know what I mean? Like now, if I get a lot of jackets, my first, couple of drops from the North Face, it was like, I didn't have a jacket before North Face, you know what I'm saying? So like the first couple ones, I'm like, I need all this. But now it's like, well, I like this one. Y'all, hey, you want this jacket? Like I'm giving it away. I'm looking out for the people that I care about, because it's just like spreading whatever resource you have to as many people as you can. And coming from where I'm from, ain't nobody gonna do it unless like I do it. You know what I mean? Like if I'm super successful in film or whatever, I want a free restaurant in my neighborhood, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It'll be like a set menu or whatever, but you can just come eat for free. You know what I mean? Like no gimmick, no nothing, eat, because that is civilized. It doesn't make sense that people are starving, and that's just how I think about it when it comes to like this, like this experience. If this had been a typical gym, I wouldn't exist. And like the magic that has come from the Memphis Rocks, or the people who've gotten these experiences and, like would have been barred from it just because of capital, which is, you know what I mean? Which is crazy. And there's like people saying they want to get in on it now, but it's like, who's going to really like miss capital? When I talk to people with, about giving, like corporation wise or whatever, it's like, we need this, like, we need it. Can you do this? Yes or no? Are you willing to give up X amount of resources to help X amount of people? And that's the stuff that like, I don't know, we're starting, everything's starting to be quantified on paper, but like, I feel like you shouldn't have to have so many numbers put together for you to want the common man to survive or to be as well as possible, So with climbing, it's going to take a communal effort if we're really going to diversify, whether that be knowledge, whether it be gear at times, whether it be, just word of mouth, or if we do like crowdfund to come together, or like, if Color the Crag needs support in the future, it might be on us to try to get what we can and see what we can do, But yeah, it's just all on us, and all of, I feel like every Black person is, you have to do that. And I know you don't have to, but personally, I feel you have to, because if we don't, no one will. So before you ever see me with 10 iced out chains on, just know if you see me with 10 iced out chains, I built 10 tiny houses for homeless people or something. Like, for whatever I get, like, it's giving back. It always gonna have to be equal for me, because my insides, it'll eat me up. So yeah.
And speaking of the finance, another question somebody's asked is, did you buy all the gear? Do you have to buy all the gear for ice climbing and for the cold? Or was that provided for the trip by the owner of the gym?
No. So the North Face provided all of the clothing for the trip. They sent everybody like Summit Series kits, which are they run about 4 or 5K for like all the gear. And then we borrow boots and tools and crampons and stuff of that nature. My personal collection, all my stuff has been donated to me because I operate on the apparatus of if you want me to do it, then you're gonna give me what I need to do it. You know, like you want me to shoot the festival, then I need to not freeze to death when I get there. You know what I mean? Like it's the least you can do. And that's also like breaking down barriers and stuff for me because like even in my personal life, like I have 3 tents, 3 sleeping bags now, and I take my friends camping who ain't ever been camping. You know, we don't go like backwoods or dispersed camping, but I've taken to like local state forests. We've done like the local city park, you know, just trying to get their feet wet and give them type of experiences. And that just goes back to what I was saying with like, you know, take what you need and give back. And it's like, even whatever you do have, use it as much as you can to help other people. I don't mean you got to give it away, but like, you know, help, you know what I mean? Like it's all on us, you know, like if you ever see a situation, be like, damn, somebody should do something about this. You should, you know, like if you had that thought, then you should do something about it. And you know, it kind of puts pressure and onus on oneself, but it's like, I don't know, that's the pressure I walk around with all the time. You know what I mean? I'm always like calculated or like, how is this gonna make us look? How does this make me look? You know, I ain't tap dancing or you know what I mean? Like, especially with me kind of being like the black, Manoa's famous because he can actually climb and stuff, but for me to be like the, you know, I'm hip and young and you know, you can get me out here and talk cool for rock climbing. It's like, you know, like personally, you got this as a black man, it's like, how am I constantly being used? So like what I preach and put forth is always like communal engagement, you know, support from one another and like, you know, just the village, you know, the village mindset and just trying to bring that back. Because when black people had to depend on all on themselves is when like black communities were thriving. Tulsa, Orange Mound, and Memphis was the oldest affluent black neighborhood in the country, you know what I mean? And then like when integration happened and everybody left because they thought it was better to be, you know. So I think we kind of back to where like, you know, we need a little bit about each other now. So
Yeah. We have a question about the creativity part of the film. How did you decide what footage and sound to start the film with and to set the tone? Was that your design?
it was mostly the editing team at Real Rock, but they did check in with me constantly. And like we chose to start it off with the joke because it's like one, you will get where the title Black Ice come from because I didn't want it to be like it's black people climbing, ice climbing, black ice. It was like, no, that ain't how it happened. You know what I mean? It's just me and Chris. I felt like it kind of showcased our personalities out the gate, you know, with me and Chris just laughing and joking about like the black ice on the road and like, why is, you know, everything. And it's just like, if you would have a camera on us in our everyday life, we have stupid conversations like that. Or like, we'd be like, write that down. That's a good one. That's a good one. Keep that one. But we wanted to bring it in with humor. The pacing of the movie, like, I didn't know how it would hit people emotionally. You know what I mean? Like, I just know when filming, like when I picked up Salatio for the airport, when I, you know, like I'll tell you, I'm gonna be outside at 11 o'clock. Most people ain't standing outside at 10:55 because, you know, I try to be a little early or whatever. You know, they ain't outside waiting on you. So when he was outside, I was like, something's wrong. Why is he outside? You know, and then to go inside and feel the tension between his family. But like when I swing and he walk out the door, I could have followed him down the steps and been all jarring, you know, like, you know, you feel like you're in a moment with him leaving. But I sat at the door and framed it up where he's walking to the car because I want you to feel the loneliness he felt. And then when you talk about creativity, it just kind of comes to like it's every photo I take is the best photo I've taken because it's an accumulation of every experience that I've ever been in coming into one. So like, and nowadays I consider every photo I take the best photo I've ever taken. But it's not like it's an ego thing, but it's just saying like, I've been in so many like emotional situations to know that the hole right there as he walked to the car, because I know in post, that'll be more impactful to watch him walk out than it would be to be bumping behind him, you know what I mean? And like with Champ in the snow when he went skiing and he fell in the snow. And I kind of didn't like how it was cut because me initially, I just wanted a straight cut. of like, you see, because I had Champ wear the GoPro, we had one camera over here, and then I had my camera. So you see him start with the GoPro, cut the camera to, then cut to my camera. You see him plop in the snow, then it'd be like he pop out. It'd been a full sequence. I appreciate Real Rock for like, you know, showcasing me in the movie and like me directing in a moment. But like as a journalist, I came up and, you know, BLM protests, hella police brutality. So you learn how to react to stuff really quickly, and you don't get to control a scene. So I've come from a field of making movies and getting photos of like, you ain't controlling what's happening. You just got to be like, oh, it looks good from over here. Oh, it looks good from over here as it happens. And you just, once it's gone, it's gone. So you see that mix with like controlling the scene where I dive in the snow. It's like, put the snow in. Well, we have a problem, because it's like, you know, like it's a once in a lifetime moment. If you don't put the snow in your face, we ain't never gonna be out here skiing again. So just knowing when to acknowledge that, and knowing how you want that to come through, whether it's in the present or in post, because both are important as a filmmaker, especially if you're directing. You need to have an idea of how you will cut it up in post for the impact to be made.
Mm-hmm. What about your upcoming projects? Somebody has mentioned the Confrontation Project, and you and I were talking before about the Everest Project. You want to talk a little bit about those?
Yeah. My biggest personal project is I recently won a truck with a camper on it, and I'm putting together a TV show called Outside Ain't Free. And I'll be driving across America, kicking it with Black people who do stuff in the outdoors. Got a Black dude who be like fly fishing. I ain't never fly fish. I'm gonna go hang out with him for a weekend. And it'll be similar to Black Guys, where like fly fishing is cool or whatever, but who are you? What got you to this point will be the stories. And I have like, you know, Black surfers, Black climbers, of course, and even like taking Black people who haven't been camping or climbing, camping and climbing. I have like a Black hair salon single mother, you know, see how she run her business and then take her camping and climbing. And then also we're working on the Everest expedition, you know, trying to put that together and bring that to life to be the first full Black expedition to be able to summit Everest. And just any other type of projects, you know, people are reaching out to me about TV show possibilities and like, you know, Netflix shows. And so I'm just wherever the wind takes me, but you know, I'm just trying to stay practical, stay true. And you know, tell the truth as much as I can. I have a couple personal documentaries from my photojournalist days that I'm putting together. I've been working on those for like 3 years, and I'm finally like ready to put all the string, you know, tie all the ends together and put that out. And you know, just try to be true to my community as much as possible. That's really what I'm trying to do. I always wanted to be important in Memphis, and that was a goal, and I just want to continue to do it.
Yeah. Mark, any questions or comments?
Well, I know we're getting close to time here. Yeah, well, we have one more question. We can throw this one in, one more question from the audience. This person was wondering if you had a separate screening for the narrators in the film, the characters in the film, and how they reacted seeing themselves on screen.
We didn't have like me. I was working closely with the editing team, like take this out, change that. We had a couple sample screenings, but it wasn't with our team. But it was beautiful. We had a grand opening in the gym. It was very small, you know, socially distant, but to see people, you know what I mean, like grinning ear to ear, or like for me to see the film and I know this funny part coming up and I'm staring at somebody just to see how they react, or to see how the crowd reacts to your joke, you know, it's like, oh, okay, they laugh, they find it funny. And, you know, all that is like very cool to see, and just experiences, you know, together. And I hope that we have, you know, more openness in the future that, you know, we can keep creating these moments and having these memories together, you know, as much as possible.
Yeah. Well, Mark's right. We are running out of time. I think I will close. You know, the chat has been filling up with comments. I don't know if you're able to see them, but I'm going to just read this last one because it's a nice way to wrap this up, just a tribute to you and the great work you're doing. So Karen Thomas has said, Malik, this film was amazing. I love the storytelling. It showed resiliency, community, love, passion, and facing hopes and fears. It was full of it was full of emotion. I love how you captured Salacio, his story and his determination and willpower, especially during his last climb when everyone cheered him onto the top. I cried. Actually, I teared up throughout. As a journalist and TV producer, I get it. Beautiful story from start to finish. I'm inspired. So we couldn't say it better. Really powerful film. For those of you who are with us now, if you haven't seen it, go click the link that you received this morning with your registration and go watch that film. And Malik, thanks so much for joining us. This is a great conversation and great to hear from you.
No problem. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Thank y'all for having me. Hope I wasn't babbling.
No.
But I just appreciate,
Perfect,
I don't know, this is like the safest place I felt talking to Black people. So
Excellent. We're glad. We're really glad. We'll be back. We'll be back in touch when your next project's ready.
Thank you.
All right.
Yeah, have a good day.
Take care.
Appreciate you.
No problem. Thank you too, Mark.